Before we continue, let's just quickly bring the guys in and we have a discussion about what has happened today. Today is a very historic day in football. I'm just gonna quickly bring the guys in, yeah, and then we will continue shortly. All right, so Liverpool have beaten Manchester City 2-0 at Anfield, leaving Manchester City 7 goals winless. So Pep Guardiola in his last 7 games has lost 6 of them and drawn one, and the one he drew, he went ahead. Let's say he went on top 3-0, and then there was 3 goals equalized, which is quite unprecedented in Pep Guardiola's career. So Pep Guardiola is going through an unprecedented time. We don't know if he's able to resurrect from the abyss of the Armageddon. The Armageddon. If he's able to resurrect from the Armageddon, we have no idea. Could this be the end of something that has been stupendously great? Is this the end of it? Or is this a harbinger of a new cycle, a new team that's going to be formed? We have no idea. But at the moment, what we know is that Pep Guardiola has lost again, unprecedentedly, losing 6 games in his last 7. He had not lost 4 games in a row prior to this streak, but this has been quite a horror show for Pep Guardiola, and we don't know what the root cause is. Now, a lot of people would pin it down to injuries, which could be quite a substantial claim, but I think pinning it down to injuries probably does not do total justice to the whole situation because Pep Guardiola still has some really decent players. Of his starting 11, I think it's probably just Rodri who is the let's say most conspicuous absentee. Most of the players that have been so heroic in Pep Guardiola's side in the last couple of years have all been present. Admittedly, many of them being a bit at the higher end of the age spectrum. So in that from that angle, you can understand why it probably plays into that kind of conversation that some of the players are a bit overage at this time to play at the highest level required for the Premier League. Slay rats! I say hi to you back, yeah? But then, do you think there are other confounders? Is the injuries being played out too loud? Is it being exaggerated? Are there other issues going on at Manchester City that are not being looked at just because we are concentrating too overly fixated on this injury debacle? Now let's think of a few things. Yeah, so Pep Guardiola in his last 7 games, the maximum he'd scored, with the exception of the final game, the maximum he'd scored in each game has been one. So he played Spurs, he played Sporting. So Spurs he scored one, Sporting he scored one, Brighton he scored one, played Spurs again scored one. Yeah, and then he played what's the other team? Feyenoord, where he went 3-0 up and then somehow got the remontada done on him. Yeah. And then now he plays he plays Liverpool, who he couldn't even score a single goal against. So Pep Guardiola's team has been quite horrendous, to say the least, in the last couple of, let's say the month November has been very, very unkind, or was very, very unkind to Pep Guardiola, unfortunately. Let's think of how. Let's think of a few factors. Yeah. So Pep Guardiola he's currently placed fifth on the league log. He is 11 points off the top. So Pep Guardiola and Manchester City are 11 points off the top. That is quite historic. It's not something we are very used to, is it? And then we have now there was this picture I looked at. Yeah, this picture was saying something in the lines of Manchester City and Arsenal are probably playing for third and fourth this season, and Liverpool and Chelsea are probably playing for first and second. That could be somehow the truth, but at this point in time, when I look at Manchester City and how so low they have sunk, I think it would be quite a tragedy for Arsenal, even if they don't win the league, which we are very much used to they not winning it. If they do not come second this season, I think it would be the greatest failure of all time. I do think that Arsenal should manage at least to finish second, or now that Manchester City are not in the in vibrant contention for the league title, it could probably be the season they try to go have a go at it. They have scored 13 goals in the last 3 games. Well, obviously looks like Odegaard is the talisman they've always needed. Hello, Haley. How are you doing? Hello, Haley. Odegaard's return has characterized a huge shift in Arsenal's style of play, and they are back being dominant and flamboyant again, beating teams haphazardly. Um, I'm good, Haley. Thank you for tuning in. You can just click the subscribe button for us, okay? Thank you, Haley. Okay. Now, Pep Guardiola is gonna be fighting for the top four most definitely. He's gonna have to be fighting for the top four. Um, is it possible? Is it likely? Is it feasible? Looking at the kind of struggles he's had, there are a lot of teams who are also in good contention for the league title, good contention for the top four slots. So Pep Guardiola has a lot to do. Yes, to try to get back into the top four. He currently plays fifth. But then again, yeah, Haley says it's possible. Yes, it is indeed possible. Pep Guardiola can probably crawl back into the top four. I think he can. I think he probably can. But looking at the league title, it probably is probably more difficult. Yeah. Thank you, Haley. Thank you. Please subscribe to our channel. Thank you. Now, yeah, gonna look at a few things. So Pep Guardiola, I think he probably is at an all-time low, something he's never seen before. And today he stuck his fingers out to remind Liverpool fans of how many titles he's won. So he did this to Liverpool fans who are singing, "You're getting sucked in the morning. You're getting sucked in the morning." Look, so Pep Guardiola turned around and just did this to them, as if to say, "Hey, don't forget how great I am." Yeah. Thank you, Haley. Thank you. Yeah. So Liverpool fans were singing "Sacked in the Morning" to Pep Guardiola. Pep Guardiola turned around and just did this to remind them, "Hey, don't forget, I'm one of the greatest to have ever done this. Show some respect." And he also went back over to his own fans and did this to his fans to remind them, "Don't let this torrid time make you forget how great, how spectacular we've been." He probably has a point there, but a lot of the pundits feel that it was unnecessary to do so. Well, nobody can really judge what is necessary for anybody to do, given how some people feel or anybody feels at any point in time. So, look, Pep Guardiola has won a lot of things. I'm not the one to advise him. He's a serial winner. He knows how to win titles. Yeah, I'm not the one who's going to advise Pep Guardiola. Yeah. I totally agree, Haley. I totally agree. I totally agree on that. Yes, everyone has to read it. Everyone has to read the Bible. Yes. Okay. Next thing I'm going to talk about is some of the problems Pep Guardiola is having. Now, some of the problems that have been reported that he's having. The first thing is that, um, well, obviously the big elephant in the room would be the numerous injuries that he's had. But I don't think that's exclusive to. I don't think that's exclusive to Manchester City. I think, well, teams like Real Madrid, teams many of the big teams also have had injuries. Even Arsenal had Odegaard missing and all. So it's not really a thing like it's exclusive to Manchester City, and he's the only one having this problem. But then you think about it, and you really conceptualize it in a different way, and you think, okay, Pep Guardiola 2 years ago he had a player called Riyad Mahrez on his left flank. Then he had Sterling on his no, he had Mahrez on his right flank. He had Sterling on his left flank. Yeah, he had Aguero or Haaland in between. He had an informed, younger Kevin De Bruyne at the back. He had Iker Gundogan right next to um De Bruyne, and then he had Rodri behind them. Now I know a lot of these players are still present, but they're a lot aged now. They are a lot more a- aged now as compared to before. I totally agree. I totally agree, Haley. You're absolutely right. We need to read the Bible. But yeah, we digress. Let's get back to what I'm saying. Yes. Now, when you think about it, you see that there is no more Riyad Mahrez who can give you 15, 20 goals a season. They don't have that profile of a strike of a forward anymore. They had Savino, they had Foden. Foden's not gonna give you 20 goals a season. Savino's not gonna give you 20 goals a season. They have Grealish. Grealish has not scored in the whole of 2024. Now think about it. £100 million player hasn't scored a single goal in an entire calendar year. Think about that. He's not scored in the whole of 2024. So if you have this kind of player in this kind of profile in your team, then what does it do? You don't have enough players to contribute from different angles. Now it becomes a disproportionate burden on Erling Haaland to have to score in every single match in order to keep the team afloat. And when Erling Haaland is not able to produce those kind of numbers, the team struggles. That is what's happening. Now look, Erling Haaland, usually typical strikers, what they do is they are allowed to roam so that they can evade defenders. And Erling Haaland, because of so many, the system that's been built behind the machinery of talented talismanic creators behind him, has forced Haaland into a certain box, and it kind of compels him to stay within the box in order to function. And because this has become the truth, defenders have read that because Haaland is comparatively static as compared to to other strikers, they can mark him out. If you have players who are athletic and physical and strong and big like Van Dijk, like Saliba, like Konate, they can mark out Erling Haaland. That's exactly what's happened today. Yeah, if Haaland is not having a good day, if Kevin De Bruyne is not playing as he hasn't been the last couple of years or a couple of weeks, then City is going to struggle because they don't have diverse weapons up front. Whether before Sterling could give you let's say 15 to 20 goals, Foden is a good player, but I think it's unfair to put this much of a burden on him to have to replicate some of these numbers. He's getting there. He's the PFA Player of the Season. He probably needs to up his game a little bit, but I think that there's a massive overhaul, massive recruitment needs to happen for Manchester City. I think that's what needs to happen. They need to bring in more players, especially on that left flank. Kevin De Bruyne is clearly, very clearly aging. He's not himself anymore. He's not the player we're used to. Ilkay Gundogan, I don't know what Barcelona did to him, but he's a shadow of himself. He's been horrific since he's been back. Yeah? And then Rodri is absent. Kyle Walker, who is about 33, 34 years old, is also showing his age now. His speed has reduced. We saw what Timo Werner did to him last week. Yeah. And then he has domestic issues as well. He has a lot of issues. You know the story. Yeah. His wife is demanding 15 million pounds to remain in their marriage. Now that's a lot of psychological burden. That's clearly showing evidently on his football, which is very unnecessary, a necessary problem to have. So clearly the team DJ, I see you, yeah? I see you, DJ. So clearly the team is struggling from a multifactorial point of view. Because Guardiola was playing very well. He's not anymore. So I think that's what's going on with Manchester City. basically. Yeah, I think now let's talk about a few other things. Yeah, we've talked about injuries. Now you also think about players like Alvarez leaving Manchester City without any replacement. That's a problem. Yes. Now again, that puts undue pressure on Erling Haaland to produce game in game out, because now think about it. If suppose Erling Haaland got injured right now, who would play in his position? Who? Kevin De Bruyne? Who's gonna play? So they've had a massive fail in the recruitment side of things. Um Now there's another emerging school of thought that think that hello, Will I am, you okay? You okay, Will I am? You okay? Now there's another another massive school of thought that think that Pep Guardiola's tactics are probably right on the verge of getting outdated. Now you do know that tactics are generally um, generational. Yes, every generation is characterized by a particular style of play. Now, for the last 15 years since Pep Guardiola has been at the helm of affairs, we have seen that his tactics has dominated football. Yes, his tactics have dominated the world of football. Everyone is trying to play like him. But obviously, teams have now devised viable antidotes to these tactics. And could it be that that is what's starting to manifest right now? We couldn't really say. Yeah? City's really going through it. Yeah? Frimpong Kwakui saying that. Yeah? City's really going through it. Pep is really going through it. I totally agree. So, what do you think is Manchester City's main problem? You can let me know in the comment section. I will read and I will engage with you, yeah? And then we just talk, yeah? What do you think is Manchester City's main problem? Let me hear you in the comment section. Um, I'm just reading, yes, and then we will engage in that manner, yes? Um, Whilst I wait for your comments, we also think about Amorim, who won convincingly today against Everton. Well, Everton is not a big team to be very ecstatic about if you beat 4-0, because obviously they're already at the bottom. They're already struggling as it is. So, but then again, you have to consider the newness of this whole system to this set of players. You also have to consider where the team was when the coach came in and tried to implement his own style, a touch of his own hand on the team. So, different things to really consider with regards to um now, yep. Yep says, what was the rationale behind signing Jeremy Doku? This is so hilarious. Now, Yep, I gotta tell you something, right? Doku, well, as far as I am concerned, right, it's an extremely dangerous player. He's probably not the player to give you 15 goals, 20 goals a season, but he's definitely a player no fullback wants on their shoulder. He's strong, he's fast, he's slippery, you know? So he I think Pep probably brought him as to serve as a kind of a replacement for Raheem Sterling. He probably wanted a younger alternative or a younger replacement for Raheem Sterling. That's probably the motive or rationale behind signing him. Obviously, he's been there a season or two. I have seen him um go through some kind of significant improvement as compared to where he first came in. Yeah. Hello, Ethan. Hello, Ethan. You okay? As compared to when he first came in, you see that he's had significant improvement. Is it enough to make Manchester City remain where they're supposed to remain? If a Manchester City forward is not giving the team 2, 3, 5, or like 10, 15, 20 goals a season, now that's a problem, because Manchester City needs to uphold a certain degree of brilliance and output, and obviously that has to be executed by their forwards. But if you have two left wing players one of which has not scored in the whole of 24, who is Jack Grealish. He's not scored in the whole of 2024. Can you imagine? He's not scored in the whole of 2024. And then we have another one who is playing very well, tormenting defenders, but not scoring, you know, nearly as much as is needed. Then your team has a problem. Then you have Julian Alvarez, who left the team for Manchester for Atletico Madrid, and then has not been replaced. And then you have Savino, who just came back from Girona, tried to fill in that left wing spot, playing very well, but output wise, very, very low. So the team has a big, big problem in terms of output, how to score goals. That's the main problem of Manchester City right now. Yeah. Um. Now, also we have to give Arne Slot his props. Yes, this manager came from nowhere. Nobody knew him. Won at Feyenoord. Won the league with Feyenoord. Replaced a legendary manager. Big shoes to fill. Comes in, beating everyone left, right, center in all different competitions. Winning, back to back to back. Yes, and never signed any player. Only spent 11 million on Chiesa. Didn't sign a single player aside Chiesa. Used the players that were already there, built on them, making them play this fantastic, exciting, flamboyant, rigid football. You know that when you're playing Liverpool, they're extremely resolute. It's difficult to play against them. So when you have a coach like that, it's refreshing. So we have to give it to him. He's done amazingly well. But in saying so, we also have to give a part of the credit to Jurgen Klopp for the amazing work he did. Because just imagine if Slot took over Ten Hag, that would have been a problem. Yes, looking at the kind of players Ten Hag recruited at Manchester United. But then you look at the kind of players that um, the former coach of Liverpool left for Slot, then you know that it's a problem. Yes, you know that they are going to be a thorn in the flesh of any team they face, and that's exactly what's happened. Yes, they are a thorn in the flesh of any team they faced. They beat Real Madrid, and Real Madrid had not lost to Liverpool since 2009. That's how long it's been. So definitely tells you that Liverpool are on the right track. The manager is a fantastic replacement, especially for such a legendary manager who the fans were so in love with. This manager comes in and just plays confidently and expressively, and you see Liverpool playing with a certain kind of identity and resolution. That's very exciting to watch. So, credit to Mr. Arne Slot, beating Pep Guardiola in his first encounter with who people call the greatest manager of all time. I think it's a really commendable feat. So, Arne Slot, good props to you, and we hope you can continue in this way. We also do hope that you can win the league because Manchester City have monopolized the league for way too long than we want it to be. We obviously wanted Manchester City to win things, but we didn't want them to keep winning the league back to back. But obviously, they have deserved it every time they won it. Winning is a good thing for people who work for it, and they have definitely worked for it. Imagine someone getting 97 points and not winning the league. When I'm talking about Liverpool. So definitely, you know that Manchester City were at a totally different level when they were at it. This season doesn't look likely that they can win the league. But hey, never count them out. Manchester City, never count them out. I think in January, Pep Guardiola is probably going into the market. Probably going to bring in one or two fresh legs to refresh his team a little bit. Probably get one more forward who will make his team more dangerous going up front. But I still cannot fathom why they decided to start the season without any replacement for Julian Alvarez. I thought that was a huge mistake, and evidently that has showed in Manchester City's results this season. And then people also think Pep Guardiola has always had a very stellar team to coach, a stellar group of players. Now, when you look at a coach like Mourinho, he was at Porto, won the Europa, won Champions League back to back years with Porto, and then you think if Pep Guardiola had a team like that, or like Mourinho also did it with Inter, with people who were near their retirement, and now Pep Guardiola has a similar team of a good blend of aged and tired players, and he's still struggling. So that also speaks to the testament of the style of Pep Guardiola, that he needs things to be at the extreme high, the extremely high side, the elite group of players. He needs this to happen before he's able to actually perform, which I think is not well, we can't say much to that, but definitely I think their performance needs to improve. Yes, their performance needs to improve. On that note, we will leave this here, and then we will see you next time. Yeah, thanks for joining. Bye bye. Adios.